So, welcome everybody to a very new episode of the Test Him podcast. My name's Toby Trice. I'm one of the co-founders of Test Him, and I'm here today with Ian Stones, Michael Close, and the very wonderful Melanie Brown.
Yeah.
Can we just get a Test Him? Test Him 1.
Test Him 2.
Test Him 3.
Test Him 4.
There we go.
Yeah.
Welcome to our podcast, Melanie.
I like the question inflection at the end of that. Question 4? Am I number 4?
Is that the right one?
Yeah.
Definitely number 4.
You're here, definitely.
Brilliant. This is going to be such a laugh.
Oh, well, thank you so much for inviting me. And it's a fabulous space, recording space. It's gorgeous.
Cool
I feel like I'm on Radio 4 Today programme.
This is better than Radio 4.
Yeah, we're a bit more modern than Radio 4, hopefully. What do you mean?
We may get there.
Wait till you get to my age.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's a real pleasure to have you here today. I met you for the very first time at the BFS in Ireland. We had very good chats over dinner and whatnot.
A lot of laughs too. Yeah, I love those with you guys. It just makes me laugh. Even a serious subject like infertility, we just kind of enjoy the times and share lots of information, but still manage to have a good laugh.
Yeah, I think that's really important, isn't it? And that's very much our ethos, really, is just kind of getting together as a group of people talking about, something that's quite difficult. But if we can kind of make it a bit more lighthearted, then the people that we're supporting will just feel a little bit more relaxed to actually feel like they're not completely alone. I think that's one of the biggest things we found from all the work we've done with Test Him to date, is that going through fertility treatment is so isolating, isn't it? It's such a difficult thing to go through on your Todd. But you're not on your own. We are all here, and we're all here to help. And you do some amazing work in this space to actually help couples along their journey. So we'll find out all about that today.
Yeah, so for people that haven't heard of you, which, where have they been?
Where have they been?
Where have they been?
Oh,
Come
my
on.
God, I know.
What must know you by now.
I know.
What do you do, Mel? What are you all about?
Well, I am a nutritionist, and I have been a nutritionist for 23 years nearly. And I was very lucky in that I started working when I left university. I went to university when I was quite old, in my late 30s, and I got a job, and I could have got a job anywhere, but I got a job in a fertility-related clinic doing nutrition, and I sort of realised after a few months that it was all about the women, and there was nothing about the men. And I was thinking, well, why is this? Why are we just looking at egg quality and we're not looking at sperm quality? Even if there is a male factor issue, it's kind of brushed under the carpet. And then I met Cheryl Homer, who came to the clinic and was a great influence on me, actually, Cheryl, because she's so obviously passionate about her male fertility, and she taught me lots. She taught me how to analyse a semen analysis. She taught me everything in the early days, and then I just got really interested in it. And then I did my master's. I did my master's thesis on the effect of male obesity on outcome, on IVF outcome.
Wow.
I did a systematic review, which was absolutely fascinating and made me even more realise what a hugely neglected area it is. And I really enjoy working with couples, but I do really enjoy working with men, because again, sometimes we just have a laugh, because they are dragged by the short and curlies in by their partners.
Literally.
Literally. The body language is hilarious in sometimes, and the tension is quite kind of apparent. And I have to really relax them, and laughter is always the best way of relaxing. So sometimes I say, I can see that you've probably been dragged in, haven't you, in this? And he'll go, yep. and then I have to try, it doesn't always work, but I have to try some kind of, it's a different approach with men.
Yeah, definitely.
I have to recognise the different ways that men and women are different in this, less emotional, more factual. It always makes me laugh, because men always want to know the science, and they might be in advertising or a bus driver or a banker, and they wouldn't know a good paper from a bad paper, but they say, I need, could you send me please the research on this, what you're saying, where's the science to back it up? And I go, absolutely, yep, and I send it all off, and I know perfectly well that nobody will read it, but it's a kind of man thing, I have to...
Or understand it.
I have to know.
Might read it, but bloody know what it's going on.
Of course I know what that means.
Of course.
I know.
Yeah.
But,
Thanks for saying
and we
that.
have to talk about man things like exercise and sport and,
Motorsport. Cars.
Motorsport, cars.
Yeah. I've got a good car analogy, actually.
Go ahead.
You wouldn't give it doesn't really work in today's electric car. I won't be able to use this very long and normal petrol, but I used to say, you wouldn't give your Aston Martin 2-star petrol and expect it to go properly, would you?
It's very true.
That's my first ever acupuncturist said that to me.
Yeah, I like that.
He said, if you think of your body as a Ferrari, you wouldn't put shit fuel in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep,
put lead in your petrol, haven't you?
Yeah. Put lead in your petrol, petrol in your lead.
The first pun of the day. We have lots of puns on this podcast.
Yeah, definitely. What is that reluctance? Why do men, why are they having to be dragged in front of you to talk to you about nutrition? Why do you think that is?
I think it might be partly because it's so female dominated anyway. That whole world is so female dominated, which again just brings me back to the fact that you guys have brought so much to this whole arena. It's women, I think it's the one job where being older is better because I can kind of be bossy, motherly, matey, whereas if you're a 35-year-old guy, you don't want a 32-year-old woman telling you what to do about your sperm. You just don't want that. It's embarrassing. I think for men it's so personal. I mean, for women it's personal as well. It's horrible. You don't feel like a complete, like, it's so competitive, the whole baby thing anyway, all your friends having babies, and men don't really think about it until it sort of faces them, I think. And then there's a lack of belief in a way. It's unbelievable. You mean it's my sperm? It can't be, there's nothing wrong with my sperm, And I think that's very painful.
There's a lack of education out there, though, Mel, isn't there? There's a lack of education right from the start. And
oh my God, schools need to really get to grips with this.
Yeah. Nobody really talks about male health or male fertility health at all, do they? So when nobody really understands the impact that anything that we normally do in our lives is going to have.
Yeah. So the first they learn about it is the bad news.
Yeah. When it's too late in some ways, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's devastating, isn't it?
Yeah. They're not prepared for it. The GPs often, I'm sorry to say, deliver it in the most horrendous way. I think they were saying, you've got a bunion, you need to go and have it taken off, Oh, you've got male factor infertility. What? Yeah, referral straight to an IVF clinic.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Whoa, this is life changing, right?
Hello.
Yeah.
Was something else we can have children?
Anyway,
what? Really?
Yeah. So. And then I think nutrition is perceived as a lot of no's. It is. It's just no. One big no.
Don't eat this. Don't eat that.
Don't eat this. Don't eat that. Don't eat chips. Don't drink too much. Don't drink coffee. Don't cycle. Don't have saunas. Don't put your mobile phone in your front pocket. Don't. And
that's all quite negative language, isn't it? Yeah.
Full of negativity and don't do that. And that's very naughty of you. Don't do that. Yeah.
But it's all valid advice, but it's got to be delivered in the right way, and people have got to be coached and supported about making positive steps and not seeing it as negative steps. And I suppose that's where you come in, really.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's just kind of learning to understand what kind of person you've got sitting in front of you. Do they want you to be, sort of just make shepherd's pie with lots of vegetables, or do they want you to go, well, this meal contains X amount of nutrients and this is really good for sperm motility. And sometimes I use a lot of analogies, a bit like car.
I like analogies,
I like an analogy, yes.
Yeah, I like
so, I try and explain, sperm, most of it's rubbish, 4% normal is the average, 96% abnormal is the average. Then most of it hasn't got a clue, I just say, and it's swimming along, trying to, battle its way to fight it. It's like swimming the channel, headbutting your way into something the size of a house that doesn't really want you anyway. And I think if you can understand the physiology a bit, but in very kind of layman's terms of what your sperm actually is, this living cell that swims massively and needs all this energy and carries half the genetic material of your child. And so it's not just about fertilization, it's about making an embryo that turns into a healthy pregnancy and then a healthy baby at the end of it.
It's half of your genetics, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's important, really.
And if you're knackering your genetics with smoking, vaping, drinking too much, eating too many takeaways. Why would you do that? And I think you've got that sort of makes it more real. Yeah. But then you have to frame it in a really positive way. So I talk about food very kind of, I suppose, descriptively. I try and make things sound delicious and yummy and not
I'm wondering
horrible.
how on earth that plays out, like this lovely long green courgette. It's like Marks and Spencer's advert. This isn't any old bacon.
I know it does.
Piece of broccoli. Oh.
I haven't got any, here's the courgette. I want you to eat those.
What sort of consultations are you doing here?
Lovely big crunchy fresh salad with vibrant colours. I try and sort of make my language really tasty, and I say things like just make a really good chicken casserole, and of course you can have a steak because men's food
we need meat
likes are very different from women's. Actually, they're hilarious. You'll always get roasts, and you'll very often get pies and burgers, of course. So. Quite meat heavy.
Yeah, but they can be made healthy, can't they, like you say? Yeah. A good roast dinner, I think, actually is packed with veg normally, isn't it?
Yeah.
And really healthy.
Absolutely. Spend the money on good quality meat. Don't eat crap meat.
Yeah.
Get your greens in. Eat your greens is probably a good mantra, And then they usually, you see them kind of relaxing a bit and thinking, oh, this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I say, look, have a treat meal once a week. Have what you like. Don't even think about, oh my God, is this going to be bad for my sperm? Is this going to be bad for my eggs? If you want to go out and have a burger and chips, go and have a burger and chips. But next day, get back on on your healthy breakfast.
And do you think men actually get it? When they're having that conversation with you, do they kind of... I've always kind of felt that guys kind of think a lot of this stuff is just a bit woo-woo and a bit like, does it really make a difference, Because they see it all on... Well, do they see it? Or their wives see it, or their partners see it and say, look, you've got to eat this, you've got to eat that, and the guy's like, do I really? Does it really make a difference?
This resonates to me.
That's what I'm getting to. They think, does it really make a difference? And that's why they're kind of resistant by the time they're sitting in front of you.
That's such a good point, actually. I think it's not helped by the fact that they're seeing all around them people who are clearly not very healthy and stuffing themselves with God knows what.
And popping out kids.
Grossly obese, smoking, and having kids. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is the IVF clinics tend to say there's nothing you can do, which is such a negative, taking away all the power, making people feel helpless. Nope, nothing you can do.
Yeah, very dismissive, aren't they, towards nutrition sometimes.
But even with things like, honestly, Mike, I had somebody the other day who smokes and vapes. Does both. And they didn't even ask him. So he didn't tell them.
No.
And
I think that's one of the things that we come up with several times, isn't it? If you don't get asked the right question, how do you modify your behaviour?
Yeah, exactly.
How do you know the risks?
Exactly.
They don't ask them anything. Do you use steroids at the gym? Do you use hair growth medication? These are such fundamental things that young men are doing a lot of now, and they're not asked anything. They're just told, nope. They're told. That's the negative message, actually. Nope, no, you can't do anything. No, you can't do anything. You just got to have ICSI, and then when your NHS cycle fails, then you have to pay for it. And then when that fails, you have to pay for it again because it's a numbers game. Yeah. The numbers game.
And the guidelines don't help really, do they, with regard to nutrition, male or female?
Yeah.
Eat a healthy diet.
Like,
what the hell does that mean?
Sometimes they might use Mediterranean, but, what does that look like?
This all sounds too familiar to my story, really, because I remember when, before Ian and I first met, I was told by a gynecologist that my semen analysis was okay.
A gynecologist?
Yeah.
You might have had a dermatologist telling you
that. And in my kind of head in the sand mentality that I had at the time, I'm fine. Mm-hmm. So I've just been told by a gynecologist, I'm okay, don't worry about that, we'll just do ICSI if we need to later on. So when it comes to things like diet, lifestyle, nutrition, when my partner was looking on the internet about how I could eat healthier and stuff, and I had some Ben & Jerry's bad habits at the time.
It's been mentioned on here before.
Many times. And so I kind of, I guess socially, I was just kind of like, well, I don't need to worry about me then, because I've been told I'm okay. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. I think I'm eating all right. But actually, my diet wasn't that great. I had an okay diet, but it could have been better. And it can change the outcome massively.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah.
And I don't think guys realise that. They don't. And another point within this is also people don't actually know how to eat healthily, or they think they're eating healthily. I had a conversation with a mate of mine actually at the weekend. He enjoys his vegan sausages. And I was like, well...
ultra-processed foods.
Exactly, that's what I said to him. It's like, you think
New
you're
devils.
eating healthy. I mean, I don't eat meat sausages anyway, because they're hideous. But actually, that's still ultra-processed food. And he was like, oh, is it? You know, so people they think they're eating healthy, but they don't really know. But also then, you know, you're not led to believe that nutrition actually really has that much of an impact on sperm health, because nobody's talking about it.
No. I look at a lot of animal research, and actually that resonates very well. So, you know, vets and farmers know exactly what to give their breeding animals. So a file of really good bull sperm is worth a fortune. Wow. So you look at bull sperm, ram sperm, boar sperm, stallion sperm. Quite an expert on all of those.
Well, aren't you just?
Clearly been doing her research.
And see what are they discovering about what to give them. Yeah. And that actually does have an impact. There's something on my website which one of my clients sent me, which is there's this bull in India, and the farmer has made a small fortune out of this bull because it's very famous for having the most fantastic sperm, and it gets the best food, it's on vitamins, it listens to music, it has massage, and it has the company of lady cows now and again, and it's completely spoiled rotten, but it's got fantastic semen. It's not rocket science, is it?
Yeah.
You know, so that tends to help people, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so strange. I find it really kind of peculiar. I think when you're in this world, and as a nutritionist, and I worked as an acupuncturist, so I did a lot of coaching around lifestyle and diet and stuff, it kind of seems like a no-brainer to me. Like, you know, what you put in your mouth is going to impact your body, and it's going to impact the substances that come out of your body, you know?
What we eat.
Yeah.
But so true.
But so many people don't seem to make that connection. No. And I think when you're in the world and you look at people outside of it that are kind of just getting on with life, you're like, how can you not work that out? You know, how does that not make sense? But they just, I don't know, it just doesn't cross their mind, does it?
No. Well, people aren't talking about it, are they, really? You know, the guys don't talk about nutrition, you know, and we'll go to the pub or whatever and have a meal, or you go and pick up some fast food. You don't really look at what's in it, really. You just go, right, I just want something that's tasty, that's quick.
Yeah,
that's
and you're
just
busy and
you know, you just get on with it, don't you? So you don't really think about, well, how is that going to impact my fertility health whatsoever? It never, ever crops up. You don't really talk about it.
No.
You know, you might talk about a good steak or a good barbecue that you had at the weekend. But that's about it, really.
Yeah.
So
I'm getting really hungry.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry.
And sometimes people do say that after a consultation. They say, "Oh God, I'm starving now," and then I think, "Oh, good, that's a good
stimulated your brain processes."
It's also trying to make it easy. You can't say to people, right, you have to go home and get home at 7:30 and start chopping and preparing. So, you know, I'm very much about go and get it already chopped up by Sainsbury's, or just do a tray bake and, you know, just roast a chicken once a week.
Love tray bakes.
And one pot things, just throw it all in. And my recipes are a bit like that. And if you're going to Pret, you're going to M&S, just get a little mini bag of watercress and have it with your sandwich if you're having a sandwich. You know, I'm not kind of like, I love sandwiches actually.
Yeah. Just introduce a little bit more into your diet.
Yeah. Get some carrots, buy some nuts, you know, nuts for your nuts.
Yeah.
So
I think we'll come on to that, like the key steps. But what are the big mistakes that you see a lot in clinic, like with your clients?
They might be just sort of a mixture of general lifestyle things. Some people drink far too much. I mean, even far too much for their general health, because we all underreport our drinking. And, you know, when you say you drink 10 glasses of wine a week, well, that probably means 20, doesn't it? Because it depends on what your size of glass is. And I know that because I love a drink, as you probably all know. And so it's one of my weakest points as a nutritionist, along with butter consumption. But yes, so sometimes I'll see people who self-confess to having like 40 units a week. And I think it's very difficult when you're in a job where you socialise a lot. You know, you've got to be like with the clients and, you know, sorry, I'm just going to have a mineral water. So I always say to them, look, just say that you had a bit of, you know, just went for your bupa test and the GP said that you're, you know, some of your enzymes are a bit high, and to go off the booze for 3 months, because people don't question that. You know, they're not really interested in the details of your medical report. You know, they lose interest in it. But of course, it's boring as well when you're not drinking, and then you've got people in their 30s who won't go out, you know, because it's boring, and they just think, oh, I can't be bothered to pay to go out for dinner and sit and drink a glass of water, and they don't want to go out anyway because they're just always hearing about their friends having babies, and you know, and they're in their 30s when they should be kind of
out and about,
and living a life. It's so difficult.
That's what we were like. We just became just pigeons in a box almost for months, because we didn't want to go out and have to explain ourselves to why we got kids, and you know, socially, you know, people socially, that's what they question and ask. And we just found ourselves sat in having a movie night, and we'd eat takeaways and Ben and Jerry's, because that was what we did. Just as a tiny bit of happiness. It wasn't actually helping our nutrition out.
Exactly.
But we would kind of use that as like well, okay, we're not really doing much else, and that was kind of, it felt really dull. It was a really lonely place that was for a while for us.
It's horrible. So to be able to go out and have a glass of wine, to be able to watch the footy and have a beer, there are great non-alcoholic beers around. I mean, certainly.
That's made it a lot easier, hasn't it? Really, as blokes,
for blokes,
to say, right, I'll just have a zero alcohol.
Then the badness starts.
Exactly. And you think, oh, not quite with it, but it's fine. Yeah, or just say I'm driving tonight, so that's fine as well.
Offer to drive.
Offer to drive.
That is the other big problem with all of this, isn't it? The sad social pressure that you've got to have a drink, or you know, you've got to be out and on it to be part of the party and having fun, which kind of, I'm not a drinker anymore, and it's never really been a thing for me, so kind of I'm not that fussed about it, but I can understand it's a big pressure for people. And it's a shame that guy can't just turn around and say, oh, you know what, we're trying for family, and I'm just trying to improve my sperm. You know, wouldn't it be a great day that guys could actually do that?
Do you know when I hear that, you know, I'd buy him a drink, you know, I'll buy him a Coke or a water or something like that. Let me get that round. Let me get that. Let me get that round.
And of course, women, when they're not drinking, it's like, have you got anything to tell us?
Yeah. Well, it becomes exciting, doesn't it, if it's female side? You know, thinking about planning for a baby.
Because the assumption again socially is that's the assumption we make, isn't it? You suddenly then go,
so painful for people. It's so painful.
So what are the kind of essential tips, do you think, for men in terms of, you know, what are the, okay, look, you know, for guys listening to this, he's kind of, he's always thought, nutrition, does it really make a difference? Actually, okay, what are the actual steps that really do count?
I'd say smoking and vaping, definitely information's now coming out. And why wouldn't it? You're inhaling these extremely noxious chemicals into your lungs, which then enter your bloodstream. And the research is now coming out that vaping is not good for sperm. Just vape to help you stop smoking, but then just try and stop vaping after that. And even if you think I can just do it for 3 months or 6 months, and then hopefully you'll be able to keep it up, I think that's a really big thing. Definitely cut the booze down. Don't binge drink. You know, it's difficult though, isn't it? Because we're coming up to the season of sport, weddings, stag parties, 30ths, 40ths, you know, it's very difficult. But binge drinking will hammer sperm, and it hammers the young sperm. The old lags are a bit more resistant to alcohol, but the young sperm, which are the fittest and with the best genetic quality, they just get hammered by it.
Oh, they just want to lie on the beach, don't they?
They want to go, I mean, it's like I just say to them, look, you imagine swimming the channel if you've had, you know, 15 pints.
Yeah.
15, wow, okay.
15?
Right, 6 pints.
Well,
6
channel,
pints, exactly.
6 pints,
So that, coffee, 1 or 2, I think, is probably fine, but the sack that's sort of consistent, or I'm just going to, mindless. Sometimes people just have a coffee just because it breaks up the day, and this is the same with smoking, isn't it? It's a habit.
It's a habit. It's a stimulant anyway, isn't it? So it's just trying to reduce it down. You know.
And good quality coffee. Try not to drink loads of, you know, not great quality coffee.
Actually, I think I saw a research paper on coffee and sperm that actually increases motility.
Yes.
You know, short term. Because obviously it's kind of, and it's much the same as the way it increases your energy short term. You get a bit of buzz off coffee, and then you have a bit of a crash. So the problem is, though, I think with sperm is you get that little increase because the caffeine's hit the system, and of course that kind of has to be paid off the other end. Is that once that increase has been burnt off, they're then probably a bit knackered, and not
definitely,
so good.
And that's why having probably more than 1 cup. I think it's okay to have 1 cup myself. Coffee is very, it's got lots of antioxidants in it.
Yeah.
It's good for the liver. It's good for the brain.
Yeah.
Just don't go for your caramel frappuccino with extra syrup and sugar.
Yeah, all the extras, yeah.
And all the milk.
Or whatever they
And
are.
the milk, because milk is a very estrogenic.
Yeah.
It's from lactating cows. Yeah. It's for growing baby animals bigger. It's not for big grown men to be knocking back loads of milk.
What about alternative milks? Because that's such a thing these days, isn't it? You've got your oat milk, your soy milk, your rice milk, your God knows what else milk.
Not soya milk, because that's again quite estrogenic. It's phytoplant estrogens, and we don't really know how it affects men's hormones, and it's
not
all
really been studied
dose
too much,
dependent. But if you're having a couple of big lattes a day, maybe some milk on your cereal, and then a yogurt, that's a lot of milk, and you wouldn't really want to be doing that. I think the plant alternatives are okay so long as they are just what they are,
A lot of them have seed oils, don't they?
Kind of off.
Sunflower oil or rapeseed oil or something like that.
And I'd probably stay away from those. But it's really difficult to, you swap one thing, you have to weigh up because otherwise you'd never eat anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
You get paralysed into inaction, don't you, in some ways, when there's too much information. But I think the thing I've seen in a lot of the research papers I've looked at for the articles for our website, it's actually a lot of this stuff is about moderation, isn't it? And like you said, if you want to go out and have a glass of wine on a Friday, because it's the end of the week, do it. Yeah. It's fine.
Do it and get the good endorphins.
Yeah.
But don't get hammered. Yeah. Don't have, have
don't
a bit
use
of
it for
oat
stress
milk
relief,
or something.
Stress relief is, it's a different thing altogether. And it's counterintuitive, isn't it, using alcohol for stress relief? You might be stressed, but stress has an impact on fertility anyway, but just trying to find a different channel for that is better.
Absolutely. And one of the things alcohol does is it stops estrogen clearance. And you always have to remind people, estrogen is a female hormone. Men have estrogen, like women have testosterone, but in very small amounts. And most of the estrogen that people get now are from external sources, from things called xenoestrogens, foreign estrogens from chemicals, plastic, pesticides, toiletries, in our food, and phytoestrogens, things that are in soya, different foodstuffs contain these estrogenic compounds. And you just have to remind men that alcohol shares the same liver pathways as estrogen, but it's preferentially detoxified before estrogen. So you get more of a retention of estrogen. The more you drink, the more you retain estrogen. And that's not good, because that's now going to start competing with your testosterone. Your testosterone's going down. So a lot of the drugs.
Then your estrogen goes up. Yeah. And also estrogen promotes fat storage, doesn't it, as well? Is that right? Or it makes you more prone to fat?
It'll be like, it's what makes moobs, big tummies and things like that. And then you start this kind of cascade of inflammation.
Yeah, hormone
imbalance.
Hormone imbalance. Sperm count will then go down. Testosterone will go down. Libido will go down. And...
But they're all really important things. I think actually, just from listening to you there, I think actually, rather than listening, don't eat this, don't do that, but understanding actually what the cause is, or what problems it could create for you.
It makes much more sense if you
that's
explain
quite scary,
of course it's fine to have a bit of coffee. Have an Americano rather than a latte. Yeah. Have plant milk on your breakfast, but eat normal cheese. Yeah. If you want to eat cheese. It's all about that balance, and everybody's got, I look at food, people give me their food diaries, so I can see what, and they tell me exactly what they're doing, so I can just go down the questionnaire and go, how about adjusting this? But I try and put it in a, what about having this instead of that?
Substituting certain things.
Or a bit less of that and a bit more of that, and basically make it into colour. Add some colour. People's diets are sometimes incredibly beige, and I say, look at this diet now. What's the predominant colour that's coming out of this day? And they'll go brown.
That's not good.
Beige,
it all looks like steak.
Weetabix, sandwich, pasta, chocolate, biscuits, blah blah. I say, right, we've got to get some colour in here. So you're having, Weetabix for breakfast. Why don't you have oats for breakfast. Let's get some berries and some pomegranate and some seeds.
Weetabix are actually okay. I remember seeing a program about how Weetabix are made, and they're actually pretty good in terms of cereal. But like I say, it's like, okay, chuck some seeds and nut mix on there or something like that, or blueberries, so you can still have your Weetabix.
You can still have your Weetabix.
But just add, like I say, the colour
just
to
add
it.
a bit of fruit to it.
So and obesity, of course. So actually, I've just written an article for our website about obesity, and that I was quite shocked, actually. I mean, I knew as a past healthcare practitioner, but we're talking about estrogen and all this and the other. It's like it creates absolute hormonal inflammatory hell.
Absolutely does. That's a very good way of describing it.
Yeah.
Yes, you've got this process of, it's called aromatization, which is the conversion of testosterone to estrogen. In the abdominal fat cells, because the abdominal fat cells are not like your other fat cells. You know, if you're lumbering around with too much fat on your bottom, it's going to put strain on your heart, on your knees, but it isn't actually going to do anything in itself. But abdominal fat is metabolically active. It has a life of its own. It's up to no good, basically. So the fat cells are much bigger in abdominal fat than they are in other, and they're big. So they're whipping your testosterone and whizzing it around and turfing out estrogen, and then they're firing out these inflammatory chemicals and raising cholesterol. We know that high cholesterol levels are associated with poorer sperm. There's an awful lot in common between the male reproductive system and the cardiovascular system. It's the kind of the way that the cells are designed are very similar. So anything that's, it's bad for your heart, then you can pretty well guarantee that's not going to be great for your sperm.
And of course, kind of women get absolutely hammered on BMI, don't they?
Exactly.
When they go to their GP
That's why
and
I
they
did
go to
my
IVF.
thesis.
Yeah.
Because I just thought this is so unfair. How can this be right that it does have this effect on women? Obviously, they're the ones that are pregnant and they're the ones that are taking the drugs, and that's the risk with obesity. But it must be that sperm is affected by obesity. And it's not only the obesity. Actually, when I was doing my research, it was quite interesting. I came across this study, which I couldn't use because it was so ludicrous, but it was a huge number of men. It was a huge population study done in Germany. And basically the conclusion was that obese men married to thin women had better sperm than obese men married to obese women. And that was because obese men married to thin women ate more vegetable, probably ate better quality fattening food. They just ate more pate and more butter and more dark chocolate, but they probably had salads and vegetables, and
so it may be more quantity of good stuff rather than
the classic quality, what we call obesogenic diet, which is your burgers, chips, your fast foods, your processed foods, which of course is very interesting when you're looking at that Levine study on sperm counts. The drop in sperm counts from 1970 to 2010, and he's just done the latest one, where you're looking at a 60% drop off in sperm counts from 1970.
That's huge, isn't it?
It's massive.
But I grew up in the 70s. We didn't have microwaves. We didn't have fast food. We didn't have M&S kind of takeaway meals. We didn't have ready meals. I remember when I got my first microwave in the 80s, and I got an M&S lasagna in its lovely plastic tray, shoved it into the microwave.
For the chemicals.
Got it.
All the preservatives just to keep it fresh
delicious.
in the supermarket.
Actually, I'm still quite partial to an M&S lasagna. They do make a very good one.
They do make a good lasagna.
But, we didn't drink water out of plastic bottles. I remember when the first McDonald's came in, and people just didn't. They just didn't eat those kind of foods that we eat now. And I think that just makes such a difference, And if people can, I always say, look on the back of look at the ingredients in what you're eating. If you can't recreate that in your kitchen, then don't eat it.
That's such a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, that's a great one.
If you don't understand what's in it, then don't buy it. Because your body won't understand what this is. It's totally alien, these mountain of chemicals.
But that's the thing, isn't it? If you look at diet drinks as an example, low-fat food products, they're usually filled with lots of
other
weird and wonderful things that I can't even pronounce.
Absolutely.
And I look at that and go, I'm not eating that. That's not going to do me any good. No. And I think sometimes when guys, they might think if they're trying to lose weight, I think I'll go for a low a low calorie meal, or
I'll eat less.
Yeah, but like they're actually then consuming stuff that's chemical based.
They're eating 250 calories in a 250 calorie meal of crap.
Yeah.
Of total crap that their body just simply won't recognise, doesn't know what to do with.
Yeah.
You mentioned plastics there.
This is an interesting one for me. I love this because
I
did loads of research about this.
Yeah, and I that's why I wanted to go back to it, because I've had patients that I've worked with in past years where they've gone to town with clearing the plastics out of the house, and it's like, wow, and since I've learnt more about it, I'm like, okay, fair enough, go for it, try and get as much plastic out as you can. I think some of my past patients went to extremes.
Yeah.
But is it really a thing? Because most guys be like, oh, come on, it's just a water bottle.
It's really a thing.
Yeah.
It's really a thing, and there's so many studies on it.
And why is that? What is it?
Because BPA and some of the other plastic chemicals, and we don't even know, there's probably BPB and BPC and BPD and all of that, but BPA is obviously the big one. They're estrogenic. We're back to these estrogenic. So their molecular structure is very similar to human estrogen. So these are your xenoestrogens. And because we're so exposed to them through drinking plastic, so even if you go and have your cup of coffee, takeaway coffee in every morning. Yeah. So every morning you're having a hot cup of coffee in a plastic cup, and heat accelerates the BPA out of the.
So it's going to leach.
It leaches out into the drink. So you're going to expose yourself to this every day. Then you've got your plastic bottle of water, and you're being really good because you're not throwing it away. Yeah. You're drinking water. You're refilling your plastic bottle. Every time you refill that plastic bottle, you get more and more BPA into the water. The biggest thing probably is the heat thing, actually.
And sunlight, isn't it, can cause it to leak.
So you leave a plastic bottle of water in the car, you go back to it later.
Yeah.
And it's soft.
And it tastes. You can taste the plastic.
Yeah.
But if you heat your, I haven't got a thing against microwaves myself, but, you defrost something in a microwave, you reheat something in a microwave, you steam in bags, you cook.
Oh, chicken in a bag, that just makes me cringe.
Things
in the oven.
Plastic bags and things like that. That is going to cause it. And it's an easy thing to not do in your own home. You just put it in a bowl.
Ceramic bowl.
Ceramic bowl and put it in the microwave. Yeah. So I think those little things, but I totally agree with you. Sometimes people can just get very, very anxious and overly stressed by it. But there's lots you can do in the home that can make an enormous amount of difference.
Yeah. It's really interesting, isn't it? Because all you just need to do is modify it a little bit. Don't go OTT, but it's.
Yeah, and we all have go into a shop and think, God, I'm really thirsty. I haven't got my water with me. I'll buy a bottle of water. I never give it a minute's thought.
It probably won't matter too much, but it's just the constant thing. So it's like a cup of coffee in the morning from the coffee shop or something like that, and you go like, oh crikey, how many do I really drink during the week? And you go like, that's quite a lot. That's quite a big amount,
But now you can buy a keep cup. You can still have your coffee.
Better for the environment.
Or your metal bottles.
Yeah. And then cans of acid is the other thing.
Yes.
So cans. So the more acidic the food or drink is in a can, the more BPA will leach into the food. So, a can of Coke, a can of lager, even a can of fizzy or a plastic bottle of fizzy water is going to have more BPA in it than you really should be having.
It's important to get stainless steel, isn't it, in terms of water bottles? Make sure it hasn't got aluminium in it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Oh, God, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, aluminium's quite low, isn't it?
The aluminium is
can be toxic as well.
It's another thing. So that's why cans are lined with plastic to protect the food from the aluminium. Yeah. So, it's a kind of double whammy. So the only food I would say is tinned tomatoes. If you eat a lot of tinned tomatoes, then I tend to say to people, look, just get the passata in the glass bottles and use that instead.
Yeah. Which tomatoes are really good for sperm, aren't they? Because
tomatoes are really good for sperm, exactly. Yeah. Lots of lycopene and tomato puree, so...
the tomato puree on crackers. Good little snack
with
for men.
With a drizzle of olive oil on it. Yeah, maybe. It's a winner. Yeah, it's a winner.
Tasty snack, to be fair.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So for some men, this is all going to sound really overwhelming. And it's like, oh my God, so I can't do this with the plastic. I can't do this with my coffee. It's kind of like, how do you get people to make these kind of changes?
Well, usually I try not to make them sound so overwhelming. I try not to say too many don'ts, but if you're saying to somebody, look, you have your cup of coffee, I'm fine with you having a cup of coffee in the morning from Pret or somewhere, but just buy a glass keep cup, which is exactly the same shape as it's the same shape as the cup. Yeah. And you can drink out of the lid and all that kind of thing. So it's not even like having a steel bottle. And just buy one from Amazon and just try and remember to bring it with you. And I mean, that's not difficult, is it? No. So you're not saying, I'm trying not to say, oh, don't use a plastic cup without then giving them an alternative. Yeah. You always have to give people alternatives. Yeah. And a lot of people, when they're kind of maybe rushing into, somewhere like to buy a sandwich or something, I just say, look, rather than try and focus, just take 5 minutes to focus on what you can have for lunch. Can you add a little bag of carrot batons, or can you have a bit of fruit, or just buy a small packet of nuts instead of a packet of crisps,
or a chocolate bar or something like that.
Because nuts are really good for your sperm. And then I tell them about the fertility study, which is a really great study, and I send them the PDF of that so they can read it and everything. And so it's not about saying no. It's about saying, what about swapping this for this and this for this, and just think about it a little bit more than you probably are currently.
And I guess also know that it's going to take a bit of time, isn't it? We need 70 odd days for our sperm to kind of regenerate. So a lifestyle change, a diet change, you've got to stick at it for at least 3 months, if not 6. And really,
or
life.
Some of it.
A life sentence.
Yeah, it's a life sentence.
Just modified version of for life. But I always say, look, have your treats. Yeah. The fast food can be a treat meal at the weekend. Yeah. Try and keep it a little bit lean and mean. And even if you're getting a takeaway, you don't have to get, not very nice pizza or a Chinese. You can get Lebanese, Greek, Turkish.
Lots of these Mediterranean types.
You can get those where you can get chicken kebab, bit of salad, flatbread. You don't have to, it's not that difficult. Sometimes people don't realise that you can get all this different variety with Deliveroo. You can get anything.
Just changing your frame of mind, isn't it, a little bit towards food, and just make good choices of the food.
And knowing that it's going to impact your overall health and life. It's not just about your fertility.
Yeah.
Exactly. You'll have more energy.
And make your partner happy, just choosing something nice.
Yeah. But to be fair though, I mean, I took up cooking quite seriously through my fertility journey, and I really enjoyed cooking something nice for us to share and enjoy, because we were just like home rats for forever because we didn't go out. But actually it was really nice to start cooking, and then the energy levels are increased, and you think, oh, that was really tasty. And actually what I enjoy most about cooking is if I've made a lovely meal, I love watching Katie enjoy it, and actually I get a lot of satisfaction from that. So I find that, but it's a positive thing, right? And then that to me is like, well, I'm taking care of her now. So when you go through a fertility journey, you're thinking, well, I'm actually contributing to our future family, and then you can learn all these amazing skills that if you have children, you're then able to bring that forward. So this isn't just about 60, 70 days worth of changing your...
It's just taking a bit more time, though, isn't it? It's taking a bit more time and a bit more care about yourself and your partner.
Yeah, but I think we're in this society now where, we all have we're all very busy. We all have lots of pressures in our jobs and stuff. And sometimes it can be quite an effort to do these kind of things. But I think the pandemic actually showed us that taking that little step back from time to time, actually prioritise yourself, taking a bit of time, can not only change your fertility outcomes, which we know from this discussion today, but your general health, your mental health. That then rebounds on everyone around you. Your home life becomes better, and it kind of ripples through, and it's way more than what is perceived as just nutrition from.
And it's positive energy, isn't it? If you can expel, positive energy, it's brilliant, isn't it? Because you feel better, and people feel better being around you as well. If you're feeling positive, so
absolutely, yeah.
Food can make a big difference in that.
Yeah,
we often use food for celebrations as well, don't we?
Exactly, yeah. And I love food.
Choose good food.
Really tasty food, and if you can say to somebody, look, if you can put blueberries have been shown to enhance memory. Mm-hmm. Walnuts are really good for you. They're really good for the brain. You're actually giving yourself a really good start in the morning to going to work. It's not even just about your sperm. It's about your brain. Yeah. You obviously have a very, stressful job, and, people are working like 50, 60 hours a week, You've got to think of the yourself. Other things that can really help you manage that.
Though, isn't it, really? It's just saying, I need to do this first, and then get that out of the way, and then I can concentrate on all the other work. And it will be far better by just fueling your brain and fueling your body with good stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And also, there are you know, these meal delivery companies like HelloFresh, Green Chef, Mindful Chef, you know, I sometimes say to people, look, why don't you do 3 days of them?
So what's your favourite food, Mel? I'm really interested because I'm a huge foodie. What's your favourite food?
Roast chicken.
Roast chicken.
Yeah, as in a full roast dinner?
My last supper would be avocado, mozzarella, and really good heritage tomatoes and olive oil salad, followed by roast chicken, tons of broccoli, roast potatoes, gravy, roasted butternut squash.
I'm getting hungry.
And my special creme fraiche with garlic, cannelloni beans.
Wow, my
Yeah.
goodness me.
Gosh.
When are we coming around for dinner?
Beans.
Yeah, right.
Cannellini beans, not cannelloni beans. Yeah, so I love normal food. You know, I'm not going to say, but I love salads. I love vegetables, and I really suffer if I don't eat vegetables.
Salad. You mentioned salad, and I really want to get this on record because somebody we all know mutually has mentioned the Melanie Brown sperm salad.
Egg and sperm salad.
An egg and sperm salad.
Egg and sperm
egg and sperm aren't in it, right?
Oh, this is the thing, is it?
There is no egg and sperm. That normally elicits a sort of like...
What's that like?
Yeah.
She didn't say that. She couldn't have said that expression. Please, I'm here, but I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. You can see the thought process. You know, so I always say, no, it doesn't. One of my male clients, actually, about 15 years ago, called it egg and sperm salad because it's got ingredients in it that are just good for eggs and good for sperm. So the good for sperm things are watercress. You know, I'm mad about watercress. That's why I say, you know, just go to M&S, Sainsbury's. Everybody sells watercress now. Just get a bag of watercress and just eat it like crisps. You know, it's nice. Yeah. It's really good for DNA repair and everything. Avocado, vitamin E. Everybody knows vitamin E is sort of really important for fertility. Tocopherol means something to do with fertility. And red onion. So everywhere you can put red onion in anything, cooked or raw, quercetin. Very good for sperm. Gosh, yes. And it's got tomatoes in it, lycopene, spinach, lutein, peppers, beta-carotene, vitamin C, and olive oil. Very important. They've all got to have 2 tablespoons of olive oil a day. So really good extra virgin olive oil, loads of antioxidants.
Oh, is that why it's good? Is it? And it's an antioxidant.
It's full of antioxidants. Yeah. So salads of kind of lettuce and cucumber variety are a bit pointless. There's not a lot goes on in a lettuce, to be honest, and cucumber. So you want your big gutsy greens like rocket and spinach,
ones with flavour, darker
chicory, and then you want your broccoli, and because broccoli helps estrogen clearance. Yeah. So for both men and women, it's really important to think about estrogen.
Helps with wind as well, doesn't it?
Gives you wind. I mean,
not sprouts give you wind.
It gives you wind. It can.
Wind can be a good thing.
Yeah, better out than in.
Yeah.
Let's just touch on the subject of supplements, because how many couples turn up and say, oh, well, look, I'm taking There's a huge long list, and you're like, oh, my God.
A lot, yes. And men are not very good at taking supplements, as we all know. So, you know,
I'm guilty.
I now say to my female clients, I say, look, just forget about trying to make it a team effort on this front. I like it to be a team effort on the diet front and the whole fertility front. Just go up to him, say, open your mouth, pop it in, give him a glass of water, and just get him to take the water and swallow it, okay?
And then they pass out for 12 hours.
Like, what on earth have you given me?
Exactly. So supplements are supplements. They are not, and particularly with male fertility, they're not a replacement for diet. No. And men, as you know, will sometimes be swallowing way more antioxidants than they should be swallowing. Yeah. So loads. I've heard vitamin C and vitamin E are really good for sperm, and selenium. So if I take loads, then that's going to be even better. And actually, less is more of antioxidants because of the effect that they can have and turn into a pro-oxidant. So basically, they when I was at university, we learnt that antioxidants in too high doses can push a free radical deep into a cell. If you imagine a sperm cell and the radicals, the hydroxyl radical just goes deep into the cell. So you have to use them very carefully. And so, you know, certain supplements are just have a little bit of everything that you need for your sperm, but the rest of it really has got to come from the diet. You've got all the phytochemicals, the
There's so much good stuff in normal, natural foods that you can select, and I think that's really what we should be doing, is thinking about our diet, our general diet. If you need supplements, that's fine, but you can get tests for that as well, especially for male fertility health.
Absolutely.
So getting tested is actually probably the most sensible thing to do before you start over-supplementing or buying
I think
a
being
whole rack of
tested
things
is
off
really
the internet
good.
or
Your
off web shops.
Antioxidant status might be absolutely fine, in which case you just stick to them from your diet, or it may not be absolutely fine. You may have far too many too much oxidative stress, and then that's where it's applicable. And then you're looking at the man. Is he vegetarian? Is he vegan? Does he ever go out into the sun? The nationality, vitamin D. Does he eat fish? Should he have fish oil? Does he smoke? So does he need a bit of extra vitamin C because he smoked? Well, hopefully not. So everybody's individual, and so it's quite.
But I think
good.
that's where you can really tease that out as a nutritionist, though, is really understand, through asking very good questions about their lifestyle, about their diet, about their habits, and then start to tweak those sort of behaviours and say, oh, actually, why would you not just try this rather than do that? And you go like, oh, never thought about that. And that's really where the positive impact that you can really help as a nutritionist, I think. Yeah. So
I think supplements definitely have certainly their place, and I
certainly have their role,
but rarely
often
not
overused or misused.
Some supplements. Yeah.
No, definitely.
Melanie, it's been absolutely great having you on the show today.
Oh, I've loved it.
It's been amazing. I've learned so much actually listening to you.
It's really, really been great. So thank you so much for inviting me.
So I believe every couple should see you because you're wonderful, and we're so grateful to have you here today and sharing all this wealth of information. But like you said, it's a very much an individual case. It's really important that people do see people like you. So how do we find you? How do we get in touch with you?
You find me through my website, melaniebrownnutrition.com.
Wonderful. Are you on Instagram, Mel?
I am on Instagram, Ian. Yes, I'm on Instagram at Melanie Brown Nutritionist.
Wonderful. There was a little, for everyone listening, there was a little pre-record conversation about how much Melanie dislikes Instagram. So I've just chucked that in there just to wind you up, really.
Ian.
We hope to
Well,
hear
tomorrow
and see
I'm
more.
doing one on alcohol, actually.
Oh.
Yes, Alcohol and Stress for Mental Health Awareness Week, which you guys are probably well aware of with your subject group as well. We've all got to look after our mental health.
Absolutely.
But it's
been big advocates for that.
Been brilliant having you here, Mel. Great fun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're great fun too.
And
Thank you.
No doubt most of you are probably really hungry, so you can go off and have a nice
have your big crunchy egg and sperm salad.
Egg and sperm salad.
Yeah.
But yeah, head over to testim.com to check out. We've got a whole load of articles about nutrition. Actually, from you, Mel, we got some on there from you. Obesity, alcohol, smoking, all those things are on there. And of course, fill out your free questionnaire, and this will help give you some pointers. But thanks for listening today, and we hope to see you all again soon.
See you on the next episode.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye now.